This is a video about another lynching happened in 1947. In 1947, this happened to a Henry Pegg Gilbert. Henry Pegg Gilbert was from Troup County, Georgia, and him and his wife May Gilbert had worked very hard. Man, they had worked, and saved money. I think a little over 20 years they saved money and were able to acquire or able to buy 111 acres of land farming. And for back then that was a great achievement for someone who came from his background, and for a black family or a black man to have. Um, they were in church. They went over. It was close to another county, Harris. I think it's Harris County. Anyway, they went over to church, and one day, as church was about to end, they were leaving out. There was a gunshot. They heard a gunshot, and what had happened is a black man. His name was something, Mr. Davidson. Mr. Davidson. The black man had shot a farmer, um, whose last name was Sams, Mr. Sams, because what had happened is he had was going down the road or dirt road or whatever, and one of Mr. Sam's, the white man's cattle or a small calf, had gotten out and run across the road in front of Mr. Davidson. Mr. Davidson hit the calf and killed it. Well, Mr. Sams was close by. He come out there and he threatened Mr. Davidson, the black man, and went to attack him. And in self-defense or to stop the attack, Mr. Davidson had a gun and pulled the gun and shot the white man, Mr. Sams, and killed him. And then Davidson got away and escaped, got out of there. Um, and this was like the whole black community in that little area. It was on the county line, Harris County or Harrison, I think it's Harris County, and Troup County in Georgia. And white mobs were riding around everywhere, with their guns and all, and looking for the black man, Mr. Davidson, that had murdered, really self-defense, the farmer who was going to attacking him basically for his calf running in front of Mr. Davidson, whatever. But anyway, and they were bullying everybody in the two little black communities. And they actually, the Mr. Davidson's family, he had some kids. I think his youngest kid was maybe 11, 12, and 14 or something like that. His whole family, though, were arrested, taken to jail, where they sat there for months before they were ever released. And during the process, during the day or so afterwards, Mr. Gilbert, Henry Pegg Gilbert, there was a knock on his door, a knock on the door late at night, right after bedtime, and it was the Harris County um, chief of police, I think it was, and Mr. Buchanan. And they said, "Hey man, you coming with me?" And Mr. Gilbert was like, "Well, what? What?" They said, "You're under arrest." And Mr. Gilbert was like, "For what? I haven't done anything." They were like, "Don't worry about that. Get your pants on and come on." So Gilbert, they took him out of the house, and then they let him know that he was being arrested for aiding and abetting the Davidson man. That he was putting him up and helping him out, and because within the communities, Mr. Gilbert was well financially on a different level. He was very successful and was pretty much the pillar of the community. As far as everybody, looking up to him and stuff. And so they said that he was helping him, man. He was hiding him out or giving him, helping him with money, helping him to avoid capture. He was a fugitive. So they got him for aiding and abetting a fugitive. Well, they beat the shit out of him, beat him up real bad. Just beat him and tortured him. And I think the next day or a day later, it was Mr. Gilbert's brother-in-law went to the jail to visit him, and actually through the window of the jail. And Mr. Pegg Gilbert said, "Don't worry yourself with this no more. Don't worry about it. Don't, it's a done deal. Tell my family I love them, but I'll never get out of here alive. I'll never get out of this jail alive. They'll kill me." And 2 days later, a couple of days later, Miss May Gilbert got a call from the sheriff's department or police department, whatever, there in Harris County, that Mr. Gilbert was deceased. He was dead. And the police chief, Mr. Buchanan, or Police Chief Buchanan, he admitted to it. He was, responsible, or he killed Mr. Gilbert, and it was in self-defense. That Gilbert was trying to break out of the jail, or trying to, bum rush them when they went into the cell or whatever, and in self-defense he had to murder um, Mr. Gilbert. Now, there's no forensic evidence, no evidence at all with the story that he told that supports him having to do that. Mr. Buchanan even having to do anything like that. And but of course, man, nothing was ever done to Buchanan. I don't even know if they ever even charged the man, really charged him with anything. They took his report, and that was basically the end of it. And the whole community was scared to death. They didn't even go to most people didn't even go to the funeral or have anything else to do with the Gilbert family. They were a very wealthy family for that time, considering, the way things were. They weren't super wealthy, but they were very, very well off as far as having their own land, not having to be a sharecropper. They had accumulated some things through hard work and through savings. They had saved and were able to accomplish some things. And I think the local police, the local people, had put so many threats and some pretty much bullied the black community to the point that they were pretty much told, you have anything to do with this Gilbert family, showing up at the funeral or trying to help them in any way, because they were going to get that, because really, truly, the white people were going to get that land, and so nobody did, and they were pretty much blackballed. And not even that, not long after that, May Gilbert, the mother, the wife of, because they had a few kids that were still, basically, they're still alive. Yeah, they're still alive. The daughters, I think one of them died, but some are still alive, especially the youngest. But he had some young kids, and and May Gilbert was arrested for aiding and abetting Mr. Davidson, the one who had killed Mr. Sams, the white man, in self-defense. Okay, luckily for Miss Gilbert, a good attorney man, a white man, there's decent white people out there, few and far between, especially during those times. But his name was Mr. Duke, Attorney Duke. He made sure that Troup in Harris County their agenda wasn't met, and was able to get her released, was able to get her off on her charges, and and she was never prosecuted for aiding and abetting. Because the truth is, Mr. Davidson, he never knew, they were never friends. They weren't even friends. They just knew of him because the black community was small. But they weren't friends. He had never been to their house, to the Gilbert's house. He had never had any real dealings. They weren't friends at all. So he had never been there. He had never been aided and abetted by Mr. Gilbert. Davidson had not. The thing was, Mr. Gilbert was a prominent person, was someone who was a lot more wealthy, or had more wealth than a lot of white people had. And they were jealous of that. And so they saw an ample opportunity to kill two birds with one stone as they were looking. They did finally find Davidson. Davidson had got out and made it up to New Jersey and started a whole new life for himself. It was years later when they finally did, the FBI finally found Davidson and brought him back. That's a whole nother story. I won't get into that. But so the Gilberts never knew that Davidson never helped aided and abetted him. I think some white people claimed, that was looking for Davidson, claimed that they saw Davidson after Peg was killed, Mr. Gilbert was killed, over at the Gilberts, and the lady, Miss May, was cooking for him and shit. That's when they locked her up and shit. But that wasn't true. Anyway, so the lady, Miss May Gilbert, she gets out. She has a nervous breakdown over this. I mean, a nervous breakdown, the way the other community kind of just disattached themselves, because they were scared for their lives. They had been threatened that if they tried to help them or done anything for this family, that they would meet the same fate as Mr. Gilbert met. And so that was kind of like, that's how it was. And so she had a nervous breakdown, couldn't really take care of the farm, couldn't take care of any of the things that they had going on as far as business on the farm and the money they were making and stuff. And the other kids were all daughters. He had 4 daughters, I believe, Mr. Peg Gilbert did. And they weren't able to help. And what basically happens, they got run out of town. she had a nervous breakdown. She couldn't get nothing done. They said that she would just sit there sometimes and shake, and just man, she broke down, man. Everybody ain't as strong as another person, and the trauma of everything she went through, and also being arrested, it tore her down. Back to Mr. Gilbert though, when she picked the body up, Mr. Gilbert had a broken arm, a broken leg, a fractured skull, face beat all to pieces. Just about every rib was broken on both sides. Just about every rib, not every, but just about every rib was broken, and had 5 gunshot wounds. So, yeah, that's how that went down. And that's why Mr. Gilbert probably told his brother-in-law, because they'd already beat him down, and he was already suffering from these injuries when, before they did kill him, told the brother-in-law that he would never make it out, tell the family he loved them, and just don't worry about him no more. There was nothing they could do. And the thing is, he was an innocent man. He never even ate, but he didn't even know that David was a man. Other than, I know of people, but I don't know the people. You know what I'm saying? I know of them. So that's pretty much where it was at. And so Miss May Gilbert, they had to sell their farm. They basically had to sell the farm for near nothing. They basically, I ain't gonna say they gave it away, but they didn't really get back out the 111 acres. They didn't really get nothing for it, and they had to sell, and they moved away. And years later, I think sometime in the 2000s, 2017, some people brought this up, and they had a hard time finding anything about it. There was no records kept. Well, they claimed they didn't have the records, or they had gotten burned, or some reason like that. But they finally put it together and was able to get a memorial, and for Mr. Gilbert and his wife as well. They both passed away, but it's like this. Can you unkill or unlynch Mr. Gilbert? Can anyone unburn the lynching victims? Can anybody undo the terrorism and the fear that the communities faced on a daily and weekly and monthly basis, man? I mean, this was terrible, dude. I mean, this is straight up terrorism, man. I mean, it's appalling. Me having to share the same skin tone, the same phenotype, the same, lineage where I'm from, European. It's appalling. It's embarrassing, and because he got a memorial. We don't want, and I don't mean we. I say we because I'm ride or die with this situation. And also what's going on right now with the way they're killing unarmed and just for nothing, for near nothing. Because he had some dice hanging in it, right? Had some dice hanging and a bad tag, maybe a little warrant for something minimal, you know what I mean? The girl the whole nine, man. There's more killings. I'm going to get into them in a later video today. There's a couple more killings happened since then. But you can't, reparations got to be paid. They're owed. And, just not pick out the families that were lynched or whatever. The whole communities were like, you see what, they were threatened and bullied and couldn't even assist the Gilbert family in any way, maybe where they wouldn't have had to settle in. They wouldn't allow, no, you don't mess with them, man, they on their own. It's a sad situation. The land's gone. And they struggled after that. They moved away. I think they moved up north somewhere. But, it was a struggle from then on. And Miss May Gilbert, she was a nervous breakdown, so she was shell pretty much the rest of her life. It was a long time before she could even work a job at all. The family really struggled, man, compared to where they were at one time. And it was all a ploy just to take the top-notch, most respected, most successful person within the communities right there around the border of Trump County and Harris County, and make an example out of him, and do it in a way where they were able to get that land, that 111 acres back into white people's hands for near nothing, and pretty much run that family off. But it happened in 1947, which ain't very long ago, when you think about, a debt that's still owed to Black America. You know, it's not 200 or 300 years ago. I mean, there were still people alive, great grandchildren definitely alive, about my age or a little younger. And his children, old, you know, maybe in their 70s now. His four daughters, one of them I think did pass away in 2017. Um, I mean, a plaque, a memorial. No, man, no. And I did say we, but they. I say we because I'm so tied to it, and it's like I'm a Redskin, I'm a Washington football team fan and a Carolina Tar Heel fan, and when I speak about them because I'm so invested in them, you know, and ride or die, that I do say sometimes we, even though I've never done a day of any schooling at UNC Chapel Hill, and I've never done anything within the Redskin, or I mean, excuse me, the same Redskin. I'm sorry, it's a hard habit to break. The Washington football team organization. I still say we, but I'll say they, or black people, y'all. Y'all don't. They don't want no goddamn motherfucking plaques and memorials, man. They want their fucking shit back that you fucking took from them, basically. You might pay. You basically took it, and they want some payback for the goddamn torture and terrorism that they face, and the terror from their own country that Uncle Sam, that they fought for in the Revolutionary War and in the Civil War and in the motherfucking, I mean, in the World War I, World War II, Vietnam. They fought for this country, man. They helped to build this country. They probably got more into building this country with the free labor than white people's got into building this country up from its roots, from its foundation. Fuck a memorial, man. I'm going to speak for them. I'm going to speak for them. I'm going to speak for the ancestors, and I'm going to speak for black people right now. Fuck a memorial. Fuck a plaque. Fuck all that shit. Fuck I'm sorry. Yeah, we know you're sorry. Sorry as fuck. Give them something back, motherfuckers. Yeah, you know what? And I understand that, hey, man, at the end of the day, man, I'm a Caucasian, I'm a European, I'm a white dude in this country that tax me. You know, put a small percentage. I don't make a whole lot, but whoever makes a lot has to pay more. That's how it should be. But dude, you can tax me, dude. You can tax me, man. I figured it up, man. Whatever little percentage of tax you're gonna get, man, tax me, dude. So we can do something to make it right, man. This is about, and it's about the money, dude. At the end of the day, it's about motherfucking financial status and giving back what you took from these people. Good people, dude. And put them in situations and in environments, especially in the up north in the inner cities, where black on black crime. Well, yeah, because they're in poverty, dude, big time, and the only person around them. That's like down here with white people and shit. Down here in the trailer parks and shit. I mean, you know, they crime against white. It's all about money, dude. Not having nothing. You know, not having shit. So it would help. And you would be building up your own country, dude. I mean, anytime, you're no better than your weakest person. America's no better than its most homeless person at the end of the day. So if you give them something and give them some financial, well, what you owe them, it would bring their status up some, and it would help. And they're going to spend the money's coming right back to the country through business, through spending, buying things. The money's going to be right here in house, not sent over to another country where you're helping this country, and you're spending money over here, and spending money over there. No, man, spend some money on your own people, man. They are Americans. You know, black Americans, African Americans. At the end of the day, man, they're American just as goddamn much as I am, or anyone else born over here and whose families have helped work and build this country up and fought for this country. They are Americans. And fuck that shit. They are Americans. Period. So I'm just out on that, man. 1947, man. Georgia, man. Trump, Harris County. Mr. Gilbert Pegg. I know Henry Pegg Gilbert and wife May Gilbert. And, you know, they didn't get their land back. They got a fucking plaque. Whatever, man. Peace.